slash in red. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja. Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pari Paraj Kachayasta Harsta Shishiman Isvangai Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pari Paraj Kachayasta Harsta Shishiman Isvangai Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Sridhar Prabhupada Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Today we will read from Srimad Bhagavatam 10/2020. That's October 2020. Okay. Mega Gamotsava Hrishta Pradyanandan Chikhan Dinaha Griheshu Tapta Nirvina Itachuta Janagame Megagamosava Hrishtaha Pratyanandan Chikhandinaha Griheshu Tapta Nirvina Itachuta Janagame Megagamosava Hrishta Pratyanandan Chikhandinaha Griheshu Tapta Nirvina Yatachuta Janagame. Please. Meghagamotsav Hrishtaha Janandan Chikandinaha Nagame Rishta Pratyanandan Chikandinaha Nina Yatachuta Janagame Megagamotsav Hrishtaha Pratyanandan Chikandina Griheshu Tapta Nirvina Itachuta Janagame Megagamotsava Harishta Pratyanandan Chikandina Griheshu Tapta Nirvina Itachuta Janagame. No. Nagamotsava Hrishta Pratyanandan Chikandina Grishu Tapter Nirvina Yatachutag Janagame. Thank you. Magagamotsava Hrishta Chikandina Mega of clouds Agama because of the arrival Utsavaha celebrate a festival. Excuse me. Who celebrate a festival? Sorry. Who celebrate a festival? Sorry. I'll say it again. Who celebrate a festival? Hrishtaha becoming joyful. Pratyanandan they cried out in greeting. Shikandinaha the peacocks. Griheshu within their homes. Tapta those who are distressed. Nirvina and then become happy. Yata just as Achuta the infallible personality of Godhead. Jana of the devotees. Agame upon their arrival. Translation: the peacocks became festive and cried out a joyful greeting when they saw the clouds arrive, just as people distressed in household life feel pleasure when the pure devotees of the infallible Supreme Lord visit them. Please repeat. The peacocks became festive and cried out a joyful greeting when they saw the clouds arrive. Just as people distressed in household life feel pleasure when the pure devotees of the infallible Supreme Lord visit them. Purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. After the dry summer season, the peacocks become jubilant with the arrival of the first thundering rain clouds, and thus they dance in great happiness. When I was on Parikrama with Dina Bandhu Prabhu, he says that the peacocks, they go, meow, meow, which means, come here, cloud, come here, cover the sun, right? So, Prabhupada comments, Srila Prabhupada comments, we have practical experience of this. Many of our students were dry and morose previous to their coming to Krishna consciousness, but having come into contact with devotees, they are now dancing like jubilant peacocks. So I'll be looking to make sure everyone dances like jubilant peacocks tomorrow morning. And myself included. So Srila Prabhupada also wrote in light of Bhagavatam this verse, a pretty good size purport. In a different translation actually to the verse, which is interesting. When the clouds appear in the sky, the peacock begins to dance in ecstasy, as a sincere soul becomes overwhelmed with joy on the appearance of a saint at his house. So has anyone noticed a difference in the translation? testing you. Ah, yes. Very attentive. That's good. Yes, so he says householder. The householder becomes happy and jubilant when a saint comes to his house. But here it says sincere soul. Why is that?
Well, I'm trying to be Prabhupada wrote this in order for the Japanese audience.
Yeah.
Probably, you can see that he's trying to be broader than just trying to focus just on one particular group, but
Mm-hmm.
get everybody.
Yes. It's true. But also the meanings also here, it says at his house. So it's the same. It's actually the same meaning in a sense, but Prabhupada words it differently based on time, place, and circumstance. The Sanskrit in there is griheshu. Griheshu meaning householder. But actually, and in the first little bit here of the purport, he does write about householders. So it's interesting how he does that. Just adjusts a little bit. Of course, we read in his books, he has so many different translations of different verses. And sometimes they're they're worded quite different, but the meaning is the same. So this is how the spiritual master is very expert in presenting Krishna consciousness based on time, place, and circumstance. Kaladesha Patra. Okay, so here we'll read the purport. The duty of sages and saints is to go from door to door and thus enlighten the householders in spiritual knowledge. Householder life is compared to a dark well. In a dark well, the frog cannot see the free light of the open sky. The dark well of householder life kills the soul. Oh, vocab word here. What is killer of the soul? Kamari. Atmaha, yes. We're learning this in Bhakti Shastri, actually. Devotees who are taking it will get tested on this. Perhaps. Oh, and what's the Sanskrit for dark well of material existence? Andahupa. That's the dark well of material existence, householder life, materialistic householder life. But we'll elaborate more on that. One should therefore get out of it, so that he may see the light of spiritual vision. Saints and sages mercifully try to uplift fallen souls from the dark well of householder life. An enlightened householder therefore takes pleasure in the appearance of such saints and sages at his house. The mind of the householder who is a conditioned soul is always disturbed by the threefold miseries of material life. Everyone wants to be happy in his householder life. He wants a white picket fence and a nice house with all the best appliances in it and all the Apple and Google applications and devices, right? He wants to be happy in this householder life, but the laws of nature do not allow one to become happy in material existence, which is like a spontaneous forest fire. Spontaneous forest fire. So California is, and many other states too, they're actually suffering because of forest fires right now. They have beautiful houses there in California too. It's known worldwide for California having such beautiful houses and opulence, but now we have forest fires raging beyond control. So it's a good example here. A spontaneous forest fire. In the age of Kali, as described before, people in general no longer take pleasure in the presence of saints and sages, nor are they interested in spiritual enlightenment. Prabhupada used to say, if you come to the door of a house now, they tell you to go away. They'll send their dog after you. The saints and sages, however, take all risks to propagate the message of Godhead. Lord Jesus Christ, Thakur Haridas, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and many such sages risk their life to propagate the message of Godhead. Self-realized saints and sages take such risks for the spiritual enlightenment of the people in general. They do not take vows of silence meant to win cheap glory from the ignorant mass of people. God is satisfied only when his devotees take all sorts of risks to propagate his glories. Such devotees are unafraid of the difficult journey to cross the ocean of nations. They are always anxious for the welfare of the fallen souls who are attached to the false enjoyment of materialistic life, in which they forget their eternal relation with God. It is the duty of the saints and sages to enlighten the fallen souls. And reciprocally, it is the duty of the householder to receive the saints and sages cordially. As the peacock dances in ecstasy at the presence of clouds in the sky, the fire of threefold miseries experienced by materialistic men can be extinguished only by the cloud of mercy of the saints and sages, who can pour down the water of transcendental messages to put an end to the miseries of the householders. So, a lot of significant points in this purport and the meaning of this verse. One of the first points Srila Prabhupada makes is that, or in the purport of the light of Bhagavat, that the Srila Prabhupada's disciples translated. They quote Srila Prabhupada saying that his disciples were originally very morose looking, and then now they're so bright and they're dancing like jubilant peacocks. So it's making this contrast between Grihamedi life and devotional life. So Grihamedi life is full of the dualities of life. You do something and it's pleasurable, but then soon afterwards you experience distress. Sukha dukkha. There's sukha and then comes dukkha. So this is spoken about in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna instructs Arjuna that even though so many dualities in life will come, happiness will come, distress will come in due course, just like the summer and the winter seasons. In the summer, it's very hot, you have to tolerate the heat. And in the winter, it's very cold, you have to tolerate the cold. And practically speaking, we experience that every day. And it's funny because there's very few places in the world that have nice weather all year round. It's either too hot or too cold, basically wherever I've been in the United States. And there's like a few weeks of weather that's in between, or a few days it seems. So really, even those days that are so enjoyable, they come and go very quickly. So Krishna says that one should tolerate these dualities without being disturbed. He's calling us to become dhira, to become sober persons, to be tolerant. So actually that's where the real jubilation is. It's not that we're just trudging on, tolerating the material world, it's a miserable place, trudging on like that. No, the devotee is actually happy because he's in Krishna consciousness, and he knows the dualities are something external. I can't control that. I can only control how I react to that, right? That's like everything. We can't control what happens to us so much. We have some control, but not much control. But we can control how we react. So the devotee, he tolerates and he's happy from within. He's Brahma Bhuta. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. He's happy. Whatever happiness or distress comes, it doesn't shake him. It doesn't bother him. He's situated in Brahman. He's feeling the bliss of Krishna consciousness. And that is the real Krishna conscious householder. The Krishna conscious householder, he works within the material world. She works within the material world. And they're not attached. They're attached to Krishna. They're not attached to the material world. I was just reading 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam about Prahlad Maharaj. And there's basically Nrsingadev. He wanted to give Prahlad Maharaj benedictions. He's this great devotee. He tolerated so much for him. He feels so much love and affection for Prahlad Maharaj. He wants to benedict him naturally. This is the Lord's mood to his devotees. He wants to benedict them. And he says, Prahlad, please ask a benediction. And Prahlad, he says so many wonderful things, but he ultimately says that, just please help me to be free from all material desires. He doesn't ask for anything. He could have asked for if I try to put myself in his shoes, so much distress my whole life, I would kind of want some relief, right? I'm like, well, maybe just give me a nice situation, let me have a nice place to stay and whatnot. He didn't want anything. He just, whatever you want, Lord, I'm your devotee. I'm surrendered to you. So the Lord was happy to give him all benedictions. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that actually the devotee doesn't pray for opulence. In other places, Prabhupada says if you're going to pray to someone for something, you might as well pray to the Supreme Lord. But he says a devotee doesn't really pray for opulences. But Krishna, because he takes care of the devotee, he gives his devotee, his pure devotee, all opulences. And the devotee doesn't consider that it's his, though. So we may have a nice car, a nice computer, nice house, we might have a nice job and income and everything like that, but we shouldn't feel like this is ours, that I've deserved this, that I've worked so hard for this, that this is mine. We should feel that this is Krishna giving me resources to use in his service. That's it. If we utilize things that are ours for our own sense gratification, then we're wrongly utilizing these things. We have to catch ourselves. And that's what practicing Krishna consciousness is. It's a daily endeavor, every second endeavor, actually. Because many times Prabhupada said that the one problem with you Western devotees is that you're not afraid of Maya. You're not enough afraid of Maya. So it's true. It's very easy to become comfortable. It's very easy to become comfortable. And this leads to the point Prabhupada makes about the saints and sages. They are outside of their comfort zone practically all the time because they're traveling, which is, I did it for 8 years in a Sankirtan van. I know it's not comfortable. It's an austerity. You take cold showers outside and 14-degree weather sometimes without a heater. It happened to me. Not often, but it happens sometimes, and you tolerate people rejecting you, but then you get so much sweetness too. I don't want to say all the difficulties. There's so much sweetness to it, and that's why devotees do it. But it's difficult, and many people used to tell me, "I don't know how you do this," and I said, "I don't know. It's just the Lord's mercy and my Gurudev's mercy that I'm able to even do this." But it's very easy to become comfortable in household life. It's just I guess part of the ashram. Generally, brahmacharis and sannyasis, they live more renounced lives and more, they give up a lot of comforts, and that's sort of their dharma. And then a householder, he has to sort of balance things. For a productive household life, he has to have a certain situation that's comfortable, especially if he has family. Children don't do too well in uncomfortable situations. So you have to create a certain atmosphere, but yajna must be there. Sankirtan yajna must be there. There must be some outreach. Otherwise, we will get bogged down in household life. And it's a thin line between spiritual household life and material household life. And I have direct realization of this now that I've been married for a little while, that it's very easy to fall into a mindset of gratification, but we should dovetail everything in Krishna's service. So we may have certain things in our life that are perhaps different than a renunciate, and the householders aren't really supposed to be renunciates in a sense. It's not their duty, but yajna must be there in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, we won't be dancing like jubilant peacocks. So it's important. And I want to read this because we're talking about householder life. I want to read this purport by Srila Prabhupada in the Madhya Lila. It's by Bhaktivinoda. Prabhupada's quoting Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is That's a good question, because I just looked up something on funny quotes, and it's somewhere. I mean, it might be an introduction. Madhya Lila doesn't say any. I don't know. I'm sorry. Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that whenever a householder glorifies the Supreme Lord in his home, his activities are immediately transformed into the activities of Goloka Vrindavan. Powerful statement. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a song about this, actually. What's it called? Shuddha Bhakta. Yes. Yes, very famous. Yes, he saw that his whole home would become Vrindavan. Spiritual activities taking place in Goloka Vrindavan, the planet of Krishna. C.C. Madhya 769, translation and purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Bhattacharya to bless him while he engaged in the devotional service of Lord Krishna at home, so that by Sarvabhauma's mercy the Lord could return to Jagannath Puri. This is another nice purport. The word Kariha Aishvarde means continue to bestow your blessings upon me. Being a sannyasi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the fourth order of life and was thus due all respect and adoration, whereas Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, as a householder, was in the second order. A sannyasi is supposed to offer blessings to a grihasta. Yet now, by his practical behavior, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested the blessings of a grihasta. This incident shows the special significance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching. He gave equal status to everyone, regardless of material considerations. His movement is thoroughly spiritual. Although apparently a grihasta householder, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was, unlike the so-called karmis interested in sense gratification, after being initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhattacharya was perfectly situated in the spiritual order. Therefore, it was quite possible for him to offer blessings even to a sannyasi. He was always engaged in the service of the Lord, even at home. In our disciplic line, we have the example of a perfect householder Paramahamsa, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In his book Saranagati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur states, Ye dina grihe bhajana dekhi, griheti goloka bhaya. Saranagati 31:6. Whenever a householder glorifies the Supreme Lord in his home, his activities are immediately transformed into the activities of Goloka Vrindavan. Spiritual activities taking place in the Goloka Vrindavan planet of Krishna. Activities exhibited by Krishna himself as Bhauma Vrindavan, at Bhauma Vrindavan, the Vrindavan Dham existing on this planet, are not different from his activities on the planet Goloka Vrindavan. This is proper realization of Vrindavan anywhere. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we inaugurated the New Vrindavan activities, wherein devotees are always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. And this is not different from Goloka Vrindavan. The conclusion is that one who acts strictly in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is competent to offer blessings to sannyasis, even though he be a grihasta householder. Although he is in an exalted position, a sannyasi still must elevate himself to the transcendental platform of rendering devotional service to the Lord. By his actual behavior, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged the blessings of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. In this way, he set the example of how one should expect blessings from a Vaishnava regardless of his social position. So, I just wanted to touch on both sides. We have what we just read in the Bhagavatam, and I wanted to elaborate further on that topic of householder life also being a spiritual ashram meant for cultivating Krishna consciousness and sharing Krishna consciousness. So it's very important that we have the clear understanding, the full understanding of scriptures. It's very easy to just quote. Whenever I've seen when people get in arguments, they quote Prabhupada here and Prabhupada there, but they don't quote Prabhupada another place or Bhagavatam another place where it makes a almost contradictory statement. So that's why we should read a lot, and that's why we should listen to Prabhupada's lectures a lot, because then we can have a broad vision, and it's very important for us to become independently thoughtful brahmanas. This is Prabhupada's desire that devotees become independently thoughtful brahmanas. It's very crucial, actually, for us to really understand the big picture of bhakti is crucial, very crucial. So, I wanted to leave the next 10 minutes for questions and comments, and see what else we can uncover here. Does anyone have anything to share? Any questions? Please raise your hand. Mm. How have you made your home Goloka Vrindavan? I like putting people on the spot. You always have so many wonderful things to share. Would you like to share how you've made your home Goloka Vrindavan? And how have you tried then? I'm sure you've already started a long time ago.
You know, what I think is important to understand here is Prabhupada over and over emphasizes the miseries of household life,
Hmm.
the difficulties. That is to say that in the material world everything's miserable.
Hmm.
And people are thinking that if I just have a nice, get in a nice situation, I'm going to carve out some happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But there isn't any happiness in the material world by definition. However,
Hmm.
we see in Goloka Vrindavan that everybody's, I mean, there are a few sannyasis around, Gargacharya, but everybody's just a householder.
Yeah.
And because it's in the spiritual world centered on Krishna, that is the acme of bliss.
Hmm.
So, you know, it's all a matter of what we do in the center. Prabhupada always said, just add Krishna. It's a really very
Hmm.
simple formula. And everybody can do that to one degree or another. I mean, it doesn't, some people may not be, quote, very advanced, but what's the point of being very advanced, so-called advanced, if that advancement isn't really focused on Krishna? I mean, because, you know, people can be very scripturally advanced, but their minds aren't very peaceful because they
Hmm.
haven't really taken shelter of Krishna.
Hmm.
So a very simple person with not so much knowledge under the guidance of guru can have a very nice home with deities, hearing bhajans, reading Prabhupada books, and not be, you know, particularly sophisticated Krishna consciousness. But
Hmm.
because the mood becomes like Vrindavan, because really Vrindavan, we're not particularly sophisticated either. It's just a peaceful, family-friendly mood. And of course, there's some, you know, fun and games going on behind the scenes, but that's just to add more extra spice.
The spice of life is quite prevalent in Vrindavan. So much spice. Especially Krishna and the gopis. So much spice is there. I appreciate your sharing. I'm currently living in the home where Drista Prabhu used to live, and I can feel that place had a lot of hearing and chanting going on. So we just try to keep that tradition going on ourselves there. And just keep the daily readings going on, and kirtans and devotional activities. And that way the Goloka Vrindavan atmosphere can permeate our homes. it's a consciousness. That's really.
We also should take advantage of the fact that we have a temple here.
Oh yeah, and that's also a big. I mean,
We live close to this temple. We should try to come Vrindavan.
literally, it's called New Goloka, Vrindavan. So that means Prabhupada said New Vrindavan is not different than Vrindavan. And New Goloka is also not different than Vrindavan because of the spiritual atmosphere and the activities that go on here and the devotees who are here. So we should take full advantage. Yeah, taking darshan of Radha Golokananda and offering some seva, whatever it is. It might just be taking out the trash, or it might be just sweeping the floor real quick, or something. Just some seva is much appreciated because it's amplified here. Because this is non-different than Vrindavan, and all your seva is amplified there. So we can make great spiritual advancement. Krishna Priya? Mm. 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 Wow. I wish everyone could hear online what you just said, but a lot of what Krishna Priya was speaking about was about how we're all uh, in the family of Radha Golokananda, and that it helps us relate with one another. That we're all relatives. We're all in the family of Radha Golokananda, and it helps us with our relationships. That this is my brother and my sister, and or my however you relate to other people. I guess even our relationship with Radha Golokananda can be variegated. Yeah, so it's really nice actually. We can all respect each other on that platform, and that's actually respect is a big part of our culture. Respecting those in different ashrams, as we were hearing in Prabhupada's elaboration about Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, is there's generally a respect in different ashrams, and the highest respected person though is a Vaishnava, and so Vaishnavas are, no matter what external ashram they're in, they're Vaishnavas. So even Lord Chaitanya, who was sannyasi, would take a blessings from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who he considered his senior. so and oddly enough, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi, maybe just right before that. And one could say, well, hey, he's a new guy. Why is Lord Chaitanya paying obeisances to this and asking blessings from this new bhakta, but Lord Chaitanya could see beyond that external designation. He saw the eternal form of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, which is very special and unique. So Lord Chaitanya took blessings from him. So yeah, generally sannyasis are respected over vanaprasthas. Vanaprasthas are respected over grihasthas. Grihasthas are respected over brahmacharis because they're kind of like a hierarchy in a sense. But on the spiritual platform, we see them all as spirit souls. We respect. The same with the varnas. They're Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmana. It's not that Brahmana is the best, not that Kshatriya is better than Vaishya and not as good as Brahmana. It's not like that. They're all have their service, and every one of them and their how to say it, their what they can give, what they're offering. That's what I was looking for. What their offering is needed in society. Without, like Mother Irmela speaks about so many times, that we need sutras to make things beautiful and practical and functional. And we need Vaishyas to help generate funds. And we need Kshatriyas for administration and protection and guidance. And we need Brahmanas for the spiritual guidance and to teach us. And it's without one of these or two of these, then we will not be very functional. And if we're trying to be something that we're not, then that's going to cause a disturbance actually in our own life and the social system as well, because the social system is set up by the Lord based on our inclinations, so that we can have a functional society working towards going back home, back to Godhead. And so yeah, we're here in the village of New Goloka. It's non-different than Goloka Vrindavan. And so the mood of service is especially significant in Goloka Vrindavan because it's one of cooperation to please Radha and Krishna. So no matter what, we're serving together to please the Lord. And on that note, Radha Golokananda ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.